in the form of a seminar in the Faculty of English Studies at the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens, creative writing was introduced as an elective course in the spring of 1996, and as such, it has completed a 12-year exploration of the creative expression of the students who have attended it. The aim of the seminar is the initiation of its students to the many aspects of creative writing, as well as the heightening of their critical thinking. The various dimensions of writing, the discovery of a subject, the cultivation of a personal style, the choice and the publication of a text, the publication of a book and its criticism are revealed through the discussions of the students with esteemed Greek and foreign writers, publishers, critics, and other representatives of the professional fields, so that the students can better understand the social process of the development and support of creative writing. The journal, entitled Morfes, is the product of the seminar, and it annually presents the best poems, short stories, and plays of the students. In 2008, we created Morfes Vita. This journal publishes texts of the students from the creative writing seminar that open a dialogue with the life and work of a poet from the English-speaking countries. The first volume started with the American poet Hilda Doolittle. As a result of a textual dialogue with the poetry of H.D., the students of the seminar wrote one-act plays, which are the natural sequel to the research, study, translations, and discussions they had about the work and the life of the poet, and they themselves performed the characters of their plays on the 22nd of May 2008 at the History Museum of the University of Athens. However, the first performance of the work of the students who attended the seminar was in December 1998 in the European Cultural Center of Delphi, and had as its subject the American poet Gary Snyder, who was also present and acted in the performance. Another student performance occurred on the 12th of October 2006, in which 52 graduates of the seminar over the past 10 years contributed and performed their best texts, accompanied by music at the History Museum of the University of Athens. Writers learn to write partially in the act of writing itself. The characters have a life of their own, such that they help to inform the author about the course of the work. Then the writer only attempts to have limited control, does not try to predetermine the product absolutely, but will allow it to change the process while underway. Giving oneself this leisure and freedom to listen and watch one's own writing in progress enables the material to instruct the maker, and so the maker in turn becomes the material to be created anew. Also, suspending the attempt to control writing absolutely by conscious intention is a kind of ritual act by which the individual plays the role of every person in the same situation, the role of every writer. This attitude allows the past to influence the writing to the greatest degree. The result, in the best cases, is that the writing is more than the writer understands it to be. It is something that lives beyond the writer and grows with the interpretations and sequels that others give it. Creative writing is a process that does not end within the context of the teaching hours, or the years of studies, or the ways of expression. We see this process constantly changing because it touches the creative nature of our students. It is as if we graft branches from one tree to another, and then we see them blossom.
Publication is not a big concern. Getting published is not the point. The point is doing your art, making your poems, and then sharing them. And the way you share them is giving readings. My circle, my generation, and my circle of poets, the Beat generation, started an awful lot of poetry reading practice. Not just we started it in the United States, starting about 1956. And it spread from the United States to England, France, Scandinavia, Russia in a big way, Eastern Europe in a big way, and it spread to Japan. Finally, it even spread to China. I belong to the generation that made poetry go back to the people and become something that was shared orally. Community poets means people who do lots of readings, that they have a public poetry life, that every night somewhere practically, and somewhere in town, there are some readings going on that are open to the public. Some of them are free, some of them you pay a little bit for, and it becomes part of cultural life. It becomes really part of the cultural life of any given city or community. One of the things I most admire about poetry is that it is not on TV.
Except for rap, which is...
Yeah, rap is poetry, too.
Of a kind.
Of a kind. But, people say, gee, why isn't poetry on TV? Poor poetry. Nobody likes poetry enough to put it on TV. And people think that way. Ordinary dumb minds think that way. And I say, no, this is the strength of poetry. This is one of its beauties. It's too subtle. It's too elusive. It is too simple. It is too clear to be on TV. Let's keep it that way. Let's not let it be put on TV. It should be a living art, like drama is a living art. And that's one of the powers of poetry. It strengthens community. Media culture, TV culture, destroys community. It removes people from each other. It separates people from each other. It keeps every household at home at night in their own house watching their own TV. When they used to get together at night and play music in different households, or they used to get together at night and tell stories, like in the villages. You know, villages, I know this is true in North America with Eskimos and Indians too. Now, they all stay home, each in their own house, and watch separate TV sets. That is the destruction of community. It's the destruction of conviviality. It's the destruction of public life. And so poetry also is, oddly enough, one of the things that keeps a shred of public life and community life going for us through the medium of the poetry reading. Television. It's opium of the people. It destroys family life. It destroys village life. People don't tell stories. They don't play their music instruments. They go watch television. It destroys local culture, local celebrations, and the level of intelligence is very low. We should first communicate with each other, not worry about TV. Communicate with each other. Gossip is the best way to get news. You know, rather than TV, just get it from your neighbors, get the gossip. I don't think TV adds very much to our lives. I don't have it myself, I never have. I refuse to have a TV in the house. I started teaching in the university about the time most people retire, because I'd already had a private life. I'm now the oldest person in my department.
Really?
Yeah, I'm the oldest person in the English department. I'm older than the president of the university or the chancellor or anybody.
Good for you.
Every once in a while I have to think about that because I keep imagining that I'm young. Well, I used to be the youngest in the group. When I first went to San Francisco, all the poets were older than me. And they were older by me than 5 or 10 years.
You're still young, lady.
No. I have to make a terrible confession. As a husband, I am monogamous. But in regard to landscapes and places, I'm totally promiscuous. I love a lot of them. It would even be unlucky to say I like this place better than that place. I've been touched and moved by a number of places in the world. 15 or 20 or 30, I can't even count them all. In 1983, I was with a group of American writers visiting China at the invitation of the Chinese Writers Union. Allen Ginsberg was in that trip too. So in Beijing, we were finally invited to meet with the Chinese Minister of Culture and some of the other high-ranking Politburo Communist Party members. And we met at the Great Hall of the People. We had drinks. And then the interpreter, the Chinese woman who was our interpreter, she knew that I had translated the Han Shan poems. So she introduced me to the Minister of Culture. I forget his name in Chinese. She said, he is the one who translated Han Shan. And he turned to me with this big smile. Oh, you translated Han Shan. And then he quoted from memory 2 of Han Shan's poems to me. Now this is a Communist Party bureaucrat who knew these poems by heart. That is how much poetry is still part of culture in China. Everybody in China knows poetry by heart and recites it, you know, like you would recite a proverb or something. That's a very, very touching story for me. About 12 years ago, doing some readings and lectures for the Alaska Humanities Council, I was flown in February to Barrow, Alaska, which is at the northern shore of Alaska on the Arctic Sea. It was frozen solid ice, and it was at the Inupiaq Eskimo village of Barrow. It was still no sunshine, still winter, dark. So there was a small audience of about 8 or 10 Eskimo school teachers, 2 or 3 American health workers, and one American man whom I didn't get a chance to talk to. The next morning, getting on the plane to fly back to Fairbanks, the man who had been at my reading the night before was on the plane with me. So I sat down next to him and I said, well, what's your story? He said, well, believe it or not, we've met before. And I heard you read poetry once before. And I said, well, where was that? He said, that was in India. In 1962. I said, well, what occasion was that? And he said, you may not remember it too well, but you and Allen Ginsberg came back from Nepal on a bus, and you stopped at the little town that I was in, where I was a disciple of the Guru Nimkaroli Baba. He says, I was wearing all white at that time. And you came and you and Allen read poetry for the devotees of the Guru Nimkaroli Baba. I said, no kidding. So I said, well, what are you doing up here now? And he said, oh, now, yes, I'm a lawyer for the Eskimos. 20th century life. Really. This poem incorporates a verse, a little 4-line verse, that is chanted in Zen monasteries after finishing eating your meal from your bowls. You eat your rice mixed with barley and some pickles, and then a server comes by with a big teapot of hot water, pours it into each bowl for you. You hold your bowl out and pours it. You take your pickle and you wash the bowl with the pickle, and then you drink the water. And then you dry the bowl and put it away. And as you wash the bowl with the hot water, everyone together chants the verse, we wash our bowls in this water. It has the flavor of ambrosial dew. We offer it to all demons and spirits. May all be filled and satisfied. Om Makala Sai Swaha. So you'll find this woven into the point. We wash our bowls in this water, us human beings here on planet Earth. Quote, the 1.5 billion cubic kilometers of water on Earth are split by photosynthesis and reconstituted by respiration once every 2 million years or so. A day on the ragged North Pacific coast, getting soaked by a whipping mist, rain squalls tumbling, mountain mirror ponds, snowfield slush, rock-washed creeks, earfuls of falls, swirls of ridge-edged snowflakes, swift gravelly rivers, tidewater crumbly glaciers, high-hanging glaciers, shoreside mud ponds, icebergs, streams looping through the tide flats, spume of brine, distant soft rain drooping from a cloud, sea lions lazing under the surface of the sea. We wash our bowls in this water. It has the flavor of ambrosial dew. There are poets, such as people who call themselves the language poets, who will argue that there is no poetry before language, and that the poem does not happen till the language has appeared. I take a different view. I think that the poem exists in a interior, visionary, visual form and rhythmic form deep in your mind before it comes out in words. And it is that place that you look at, almost like looking at a movie. Just as, we don't think really in words, we think in pictures. When we are deeply thinking and deeply feeling, we think and feel in pictures, so to speak. And we choose or find our way to the language after that. And I know that this is possible from my own experience and from that of many other people I know, that you can visit that space and, again, find what the language might be, or what language you'd like it to be. But some people will argue that this is not possible. To them, I say, you just don't know, because you can't do it.